Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hammerdown Ranked, where we rank the albums from various bands across all genres of rock and metal. And today we're going to be talking about alt-rock band Than Atlantis. Now, Than Atlantis, if you don't know, had a journey very similar to bands like Death of Anna, We Are the Ocean, Unit 6 that started more as a post-hardcore band with some heavier vocals, more hardcore influenced sounds, and ended up through a process of 10 years becoming far more of an alternative rock band. So they were formed in 2007 in Watford, England, originally called Atlantis and slightly later on renamed to Lower Than Atlantis. They released a demo in 2007 and had various lineups over a couple of years, but then eventually, before their first album, solidified a very stable lineup for the rest of their career, consisting of Mike Juice on guitar and vocals, Ben Sampson on guitars, Eddie Thrower on drums, and Declan Hart on bass, who upon joining the band described Lower Than Atlantis as a bunch of meth heads and that their reputation was mental. So they've got 5 albums to rank, and that's what we're going to be doing today, starting with number 5, the debut album, 2010's Far Q. Released via Wolf at Your Door Records and recorded at Studio Glass Eye in Hatfield. The first official song from the album was Taping Songs Off the Radio, although they had previously leaked a song on their MySpace page, which was I'm Not Bulimic. After the release of the record, they gained some success pretty quickly, with Dead Press featuring the record as the 13th best album of the year. They then went on to tour with Architects, Norma Jean and Devil Sold His Soul and had a pretty successful run. Now, this album is a debut album. You can't necessarily expect the world from a debut record. It's not really my thing. It's a little bit too raw for my liking. There's a couple of songs on there that are okay, but generally not really my thing. Moving on to number 4, 2011's World Record. Again released via Wolf at Your Door Records and produced by legendary producer John Mitchell. A few notable features on this album: Matt Ryder of The Holiday Plan, guest vocals on Marilyn's Mansion, and the song Another Sad Song features Eddie Thrower's dad John Thrower on trumpets. This is where the band really blew up. They got to play Sonosphere Festival, Download Festival, Slam Dunk Festival. They toured a lot with bands like The Ghost Inside, We Are the Ocean and Young Guns, and they got pretty great reviews all across the board. This album is better produced than the last, but still for me isn't quite my thing. The album does take a preferred direction and starts to lead towards the more alt-rock stuff that they'd end up releasing, but for me, not that great. But the top 3 records all are fantastic albums. I'm really excited to talk to you about them. But before we do so, we're going to mention my shirt of the week, a band a little bit more successful than I'd normally feature on this part, but it's just my favourite band shirt at all at the moment. The InMe Jumpstart Hope shirt. I absolutely love this shirt. InMe just headlined Hammerdown Festival and they were absolutely amazing. I've become a huge fan of the band over the last year or so. I just think they're amazing. I'm actually, at the time of recording this, off to go and catch up with some of the guys this evening. They're going to be playing an acoustic set, so that's fun. So InMe have released 7 albums over the course of their careers. My favourite is The Pride. That is a fantastic album. It was released in 2012 and includes some of my favourite songs: A Great Man, Reverie Shores. Go and listen to that record. Now they've got a new record coming very soon, which is really exciting, and they're currently getting ready to do a re-release of their most successful album, Overgrown Eden, with a couple of extra B-sides on, which is very exciting. So I'm sure you know all about InMe anyway, but if you don't, I'm going to put some links in the description of this video. Go and check them out. They're great human beings more than anything else. But we're going to get back to the point in hand, which is ranking the albums from Lower Than Atlantis. And in number 3, we've got 2012's Changing Tune. Big change in sound here, and a signing to Island Records, who took them on for 1 album. Again, John Mitchell worked on this album, but also with Ben Humphries as well. And the first single was If the World Has to End. They did several music videos for this album, including Something Better Came Along, which is recorded at a decommissioned tube station in Walthamstow, London. This album has the coolest album art, in my opinion, of any of the 5 records. An awesome piece of album art. And it reached 25 here in the UK album charts, so their first bit of charting success. My favourite songs on this album are PMA, Scared of the Dark, but actually the intro song Prologue just sounds massive. It's only 2.5 odd minutes, but it's a stunning song. Really big soundscape, kicks off the album in real style. So things got even bigger after this record, and it was their biggest selling album to date. They got the chance to tour with bands like All Time Low, The Dangerous Summer, Don Broco. So overall, pretty good album. But I have to say, the final 2 albums the band released are by far and away the best 2 records. And in number 2, we're going with 2017's Safe in Sound. Released through Red Essential Records, which is a subsidiary of Sony Music, it was their highest charting album and reached number 8 in the UK album charts. So I got to see these guys just before this album cycle touring with A Day to Remember. I saw them at the Brighton Centre. It was one of the first big gigs I ever went to, and it was an awesome show. And Lower Than Atlantis really caught my attention. Fantastic set. The first single was Work For It, which is a great song, and Had Enough was the second single for the record. My favourite songs from the album include those two, but also Could Be Worse and Long Time Coming. Those are brilliant songs. Now after this album they got onto a lot of the major festivals. Again, Slam Dunk, Rock am Ring and Rock im Park in Germany, Reading and Leeds here in the UK too. But on to number 1, the self-titled 2014 record Lower Than Atlantis. So after the Changing Tune album cycle, Island Records decided to streamline and cut some of the bands from their roster, and unfortunately, although Changing Tune was the best-selling album from the band to date, it was undersold compared to what Island Records had in mind for the record, so they unfortunately dropped them. Now they'd signed them to do another album anyway, so they gave the band an advance and said off you go. So Lower Than Atlantis gratefully accepted that and built their own studio to record this next record in. After recording, they signed to Sony Records, so everything worked out just fine. And the first single, and probably most iconic song from the band, Here We Go, was actually intended to be a B-side initially. The second single was English Kids in America, and they also recorded a music video at a sold-out show at the legendary Coco in London for the song Criminal. The album made it to number 16 in the album charts here in the UK, so it was their second most successful record. Now usually my favourite songs are towards the start of the album, but actually on this record all of my favourite songs are right at the end of it. Track number 9, Damnation, track number 10, Time, and track number 12, Number 1. Those songs are absolutely awesome. It's the choruses that do it for me. The verses, pretty chilled out, whatever, but the choruses are just massive, and that switch just sounds epic. So what happened to the band? Well, after releasing their best charting record, Safe and Sound, the band announced on December 2nd, 2018 that they would be breaking up after playing 3 final shows in May 2019, the last of which was at Brixton Academy in London. There has been rumours of them coming back. I've heard little bits around. I don't know if that's just nonsense rumours on the scene, but I would of course love Lower Than Atlantis to come back. I only got to see them once, and I feel that the band was getting better and better and better. The last 3 records were great, and I would really love to see some more stuff from them, but who knows. So there we go, the 5 albums of Lower Than Atlantis ranked from my least favourite to favourite. Who do you want to see me rank next, and do you think I got this right? Let me know down in the comments below. We really appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Please do subscribe, it helps us to grow very much. Other than that guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are.